everyone. So welcome again for PR education. So actually today we are going to another phase of cybersecurity. So most important thing, most best thing. So I think you remember my previous video. I have talked about the so many best stuff about what is cybersecurity and other stuff. So in these days, I'm going to talk about the Linux operating system. So some of you already know about how to work in Linux. Some of you still don't know what is Linux. Someone is already confused. Linux, what is that one? So it's actually very different when we compare to other operating systems, right? When I talk about the other operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, those are developed by commercial companies, right? We already know about that. So I'm pretty sure you almost work on Windows, right? And some of the richest persons are working on the Mac OS. So, so we know the general purpose for these commercial companies to make money, right? There's a huge difference between the license types. So, but Linux is very, very different. In very beginning, it's so much free. It's free, no need to pay anything, right? So before jump into other parts, let's talk about bit about the history of the Linux. So it's created by Linus Torvald in 1991. Right? He is a student in college in Finland. At the college, they use number of computers. So you can imagine it's about 1991 how they use computers, right? So yeah, like that. So as I mentioned, so at the college they use number of computers running operating systems is Minix, right? In your right hand side you're able to see how it's look like Minix. Minix actually based on another operating system called Unix, right? In your left hand side. Unix was developed by AT&T. So Unix was commercial operating system. Now you know it's a Mac OS built on Unix operating system, right? So back then Minix also commercial operating system, but now it's almost free operating system, right? So after that, so let's say this guy Linus Torvald, one of the greatest man in history, he went back to after his college he went back to his home. So as a college student he didn't want to pay money as much for those operating systems. He thought, why should I pay for that money? I want to create my own operating system like Minix. Most people mentions Linux operating system is a Unix Lite because of you're able to see it's a Linus Torvalds. So Linux name actually came from Linux first name and combining Unix letter X. Right, this all happened back in 1991. So there, so yeah, the after the 1991, so Linux is already built by the Linux. So in the past time they actually using the usernet groups. So this is I captured from the one of the usernet groups. So you can also check it by the Google archive. This is the first message from the Linus Torvald to community. So hello everybody out there using Minix. I am doing a free operating system, just a hobby, won't be a weekend professional like GNU, right? Like that, so much things. So he asking, I would like any feedback on things people like, dislike in Minix, right? As my OS resembles it somewhat, right? Same physical layout of the file system due to practical reasons among the other things. So those things. And I have currently ported Bash and GCC and things seem to work. This implies that I get something practical within a few months, and I would like to know what features most people would want. Any suggestions are welcome, but I won't promise I'll implement them, right? So here's at the message on the Usenet group, so you can check it by yourself in the Google archive. So, and then yes, it's a free of any Miniscode and it has multi-threads. It's not portable. So in that early 1991, those years, it's actually not portable, but nowadays Linux is a portable. Alright, so let's talk about free and open source. Because the thing is, most of the people are talking about the Linux is free and open source. Right, yes. Now it's a free and open source. At earlier time it's a free, now it's a both of free and open source. The thing is, free doesn't mean open source because those are not the same factor. Because there's so many things different. So let me show it in my slide. So here you're able to see in your left hand side it's a free and right hand side it's a open source. In the middle of things, you're able to see the software, the both are in the same. So both can view. So both software are able to modify and distribute and copy. So in the free, it's a freedom to use. And it's actually main thing is user rights. You can do anything. But open source is a much more different. It's more focused on the collaboration and technical merit. It's mean, just think about it. You are going to make an app, right? So you are going to make an app and you are going to distribute your source code in a public, right? Just think you are using the GitHub to share your code with others. And you are getting suggestions from them, right? You are creating app and you are sharing the source code. And some of them already know about the coding. So they can create the better application than you based on your source code. And they will make what are the wrong things in your code and some of the feedbacks and those kind of things. But you share the source code, it doesn't mean they are allowed to redistribute for money. Right? So that's the thing. Open source have some restrictions. Right? So you can share your code, but others not allowed to redistribution and those things. That's the main thing of the free and open source. And nowadays, Linux, free and open source. Oops, wait a minute. Alright. So you will be asked a question. So Linux is created whole Linux operating system? The thing is not. Here we'll see Linux is not an operating system. It's a kernel. Right? So that's the thing. So whenever you go and ask from the Linux, are you created Linux operating system? Linux will say, what? No, I'm not created Linux operating system. So because of Linux only created kernel, right? The Linux is a kernel. So kernel is a small piece of software that allows program to talk to hardware, right? It's less than megabyte. So Linux actually wrote by Linux, but it's not the whole operating system. It's a kernel. Alright, so let me explain more. So the thing is how is the created the Linux operating system is like this. So you can get the Linux kernel. So just imagine, so you are going to open Linux kernel on the system, but you cannot actually work. You cannot see anything, right? Because he actually created the Linux kernel. So the creating of the Linux operating system like this. So you can use Linux kernel as a bottom layer And the top of layer, you can add GNU softwares. Right, I will explain you later. So GNU softwares. And then by combining those, you can create Linux distribution, right? Like Ubuntu, like Red Hat, Fedora, anything. Anyone can create Linux. So I know you are watching this. So just think, how about your name, put it to the operating systems, everyone using that. You can create your own hacking OS, anything. Right? So it doesn't mean so GNU softwares doesn't mean you need to actually add the GNU softwares, but the thing is you can add your own programs into the system and you can create your own Linux operating system. And if I explain more, just think about like this. So every ice cream have ice cones. Just imagine that the thing is Linux kernel. And then you are adding flavors, right? Here I have show you 4 different ice cones, and top of that there's I think 4 different flavors. That's the thing how the Linux, right? Linux kernel is same, but the thing is flavors are different. It means GNU softwares different, your own softwares is different. That's how the Linux is working. The thing is, don't say Linux is operating system, is actually kernel. The Linux is created a Linux kernel, right? So some of them are adding the GNU software and other things. Then they created the Linux operating system. All right, here's the GNU operating system main website. You can go by gnu.org. So it's a completely free, right? You can download the GNU software kit and you can combine Linux kernel and GNU software, and then you can distribute your own Linux operating system. So here you able to see a bunch of details. You can easily see, and there's a distros. There's a free distros you can able to download. Some of you already know, some of you heard some of these things. But the thing is, this is not actually popular because this is actually not getting attention because of these are the free. You are only focused on the distributions. I will talk about later. You already know about some of the best of distributions. So this is the core of the Linux, right? So how it's made. And you can easily participate their community. It's absolutely free software foundation. You can join and you can sign up. All right, so let's talk about the Linux distributions. All right, so one of the greatest website is a DistroWatch. So you can easily track the every single operating systems in a Linux operating systems. So you can also visualize by family tree of Linux distributions. So here this also created the Linux periodic table. So yeah, that's a quite interesting. So if I scroll down, you'll be able to see it's about 6 MB size picture. It's not actually, I can actually zoom it. So let me download this PNG file. Let me download it. Alright, so I have opened that image file. So here you're able to see one of the famous distro called Fedora. So basically like this. So some of the companies or single authorities are creating their own distribution, right? So we can say the distros. So these are the distros. So each distro has some of the branches, right? So from that branches, they are creating Linux distributions, right? The Fedora is made from Red Hat. Here, you're able to see there's a purple line is goes to Red Hat. Let me go down here. So Red Hat is one of the commercial based Linux operating system. It's actually not free. So let me scroll down a bit. And here you are able to see again from the Red Hat, there's another branch is going for CentOS. So CentOS is a Linux distribution. So, and then it's creating several different branches. Let me scroll down a bit again. Alright. So this is the one of the most famous Linux distros, Debian. So like me, you also already know about Debian. So you are not heard about Debian, but you heard about from the Debian, one of the famous. I think some of you already installed onto their operating system, some of you not. If not, I suggest to going and check here. So from the Debian distro, there is a branch is going to Ubuntu, right? So from Debian, so Ubuntu is actually Debian based operating system, right? So that's how branches working. So you can also create your own distro and do some branches by your own. So this is how the Linux is working. So there you able to see there's a ton of operating systems have been already published. Here the branches are going to right side, but some of you already stopped. So that's me. It's no longer support. So I want to tell something. So this is the thing. You will be asked yourself, there's so many things, so many operating systems. So what should I use, right? So you will ask, what should I use as a Linux operating system? This is the thing. The thing is, we are learning Linux is, so when you are joining into cybersecurity, so you able to, let's say you are doing the hacking. So basically, Linux hacking is almost going in the Linux operating system. So some of you already know the Kali Linux and if I can say ParrotOS, right? Those are Linux operating system. Then you must know the operating system, the Linux, right? The thing is, how do you choose the operating system? It's actually up to you. So let's say if you are doing system engineering and other stuff, then the best option is CentOS or Red Hat. So let's say you are doing pen testing, just like you are going to use the malware as in reverse engineering and so many things. So there's a lot of options. You can use Ubuntu. You can create your own hacking operating system as a scratch from the Ubuntu operating system. And there's one of the famous one. It's a Kali Linux. You can also use. You can also use that operating system. Also Parrot operating system for forensic. There's another one is called CSI Linux. So those operating system actually based on the Debian. So in my side, I always prefer to use the Debian based operating system because I almost handy with those commands because I actually working on those kind of operating systems. So that's why I most prefer. So you might also, you can also check by yourself what is the best operating system. So the thing is, it's actually up to you. So don't use older versions. So just like I can say, so the oldest operating systems. So don't use it because those are no longer active and you will be encounter some problems. So and there was a no community active. So how do you make your operating system stable? So that's the thing. Use most active operating system. So we are going as cybersecurity. So you can use Ubuntu operating system and for some testing side, just like say if you are going to hack something just like Red Hat, then you can also try to use the Red Hat or something like that. It's up to you. So I hope you understand how the Linux is came and how it's work and what are the things in Linux. So some of you already know, some of you don't know. So some of you don't know. I might think you know about something from this video. Alright, so then let's meet with you in my next video. So have a nice day. Thank you so much.